All right, so just a little navigation. This is the P5 .GenZ, and my name is Iley Cao, and this is Munus,
Munus Shih.
and this is where you'll find our presentation, and then we'll just jump into the slideshow. All right, so welcome everyone to GenZ. Please go to this link. This is where can everyone access this link?
Probably not. I'm just gonna replace it with the new link.
Okay.
Okay, it should work now.
You just
Like a really long link.
okay.
That short one also redirected me.
Okay, great.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, cool. So yeah, like I said, I'm Iley, and I'm a New York City-based transmedia multimedia designer and storyteller studying at Parsons. My mission is to produce work and enact dialogue that's culturally and environmentally engaging and intersectional. And so some of my specific interests lie in sustainable practices in beauty, lifestyle, and food systems. And I love to bake banana bread.
Hi everyone, this is Munus. I'm also a New York-based Taiwanese designer, coder, and educator, and I often sort of collaborate with contextual data and bespoke algorithm. Me and Iley actually met in a class in Parsons called Decolonize, where we sort of developed this method of teaching coding through a zine making process.
Yeah, so our objective here is to create a coded zine that focuses on digital identity, and we'll use p5.js to teach functions and generate a collaborative digital profile zine. We want to make coding and print approachable and beginner friendly. And you don't need to download anything, and it's okay if you don't have prior knowledge in basic variables or artisanal coordinate systems. We're here to answer all your questions.
Right. So the first questions would be, what's a zine? That's a question that my mom would ask. And then, yeah, so a zine would be described as a self-published book that features text and images, and it's usually in small circulations compared to like big publications. And zines originated from socially marginalized groups and serve as a way to share those informations and give voices to these marginalized groups and ideas that were not included in the mainstream media. For example, zine can be in different formats. It doesn't have to be printed. They can be in web zines, e-zines, counterculture zines, and poetry zines.
All right, so here is an example of some industry standard design. Munus and I are both designers who have worked with like Adobe Suite, and this is just sort of the format of Adobe for anyone who hasn't had experience there. And so our mission here was to create a zine template that was different from what you would get in Adobe.
Right, because then not everyone, if you think about the zine making process, that was originally belongs to the socially marginalized groups and people who are underprivileged. Not everyone would get access to these professional software like Adobe InDesign, and also you don't need to have these sort of professional skills or these resources to be able to voice your opinions in a zine format. So our objective of creating that GenZ in P5 was to sort of give access to these people who wanted to create zines, but they don't have that knowledge or that privilege of having a professional design software.
Yeah. So this is just a quote from Macworld, but it's amazing how inexpensive a publication can be if it doesn't need to pay for writing, editing, design, paper, ink, or postage. So just thinking about like the zine making process and media making process, and how can we make that more available to everyone. And a little bit about digital identity and space. Our objective for the zine is to highlight how digital identity and zines can serve as a space for people to express themselves. And the creation of a digital identity and space is a way for people who haven't had traditional access to community spaces to connect with and be themselves. I don't know about you guys, but just like having, you know, a MySpace profile, or just like being able to create like a digital identity, just like in the early stages of the internet. Yeah.
This is and we also want to sort of explore and sort of build on top of that idea of digital space, where I think about the early days when people have MySpace. It's sort of like their own, it's kind of like a digital house for you where you can decorate it, and then you can explore your own aesthetics there. So then in this workshop, we also want to encourage everyone, since we're not using those fixed softwares like Adobe InDesign, we get to explore other ideas about print making and zine making. And this is the zine that was created in the workshop that we talk about called Decolonize by one of the participants, and Thingy Thing. And she created this zine using our P5 GenZ creator. And it was very fun, where she explored these idea of generativity, parameterizing, and randomness in her zine process.
Mhm. All right, and here's the format for the 8-page theme that you'll be creating. Use this as a reference, but also feel free to play around with the order. So for example, this would be the front cover. Here's page 1, 2, 3, etc. And then the back cover. And then you'll be able to download your zine as a print PDF, and then cut it and do as you wish.
Right. So the first part, we're going to talk about functions and colors. And what are functions? So functions are just codes that accomplish a specific test. For example, when we are using a bread making machine, we would have to specify how many breads we're going to put into the machine, what kind of bread, how long, how cooked the bread's going to be. So if we put it down into a function, that would be cook bread. And then we use parentheses to wrap our functions. So in the cook bread, we have to specify how many breads, maybe 5 breads, what kind of bread, how many times the bread should be cooked, 10 seconds, and then how cooked it should be, very cooked, for instance.
Yeah, perfect. And then we'll talk, and then this is namespacing. So in namespacing, you have to specify where everything is going. So for example, you wouldn't put your beef in the microwave. So you would state rice, comma, carrots, comma, chicken, and then where, like how long. And then you'll do the same for oven, like beef, comma, salmon, pasta. And so that's just important to keep in mind when building your zine. And this will all start to make more sense when the P5 document is open.
Right. And let's step up with your P5 editor first. I'll also drop the link into the chat. Iley, do you want to walk them through the logging and duplicate thing?
Yep. So this is the editor. And is everyone able to access it? If you,
Right.
yeah, if you are having issues, then yeah, please drop in the chat. So you're just gonna log into a Google account.
If you don't have an account, you can sign up. They'll just ask you to fill out, I think, your name, your email, and your password. Obviously, we cannot give you advices on how to create your password, but but yeah. We just want to stop for a minute to make sure everyone have access to the editor.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we'll just take a minute and everyone can log in and go into the editor. And so this is the p5.js editor, and you want to make sure that auto refresh is on. And if you hit play, you'll see this template. And there's also the function that is connected to your front-facing camera and enables a selfie mode. You don't need to do that if you don't feel comfortable.
Right. And then this is, so basically this is the template. And if you want to create your own version of the template, or you just want to add new things to it and save it as your own file, you would go to File with a little down arrow button on the left, on the top left, and then you click Duplicate. So by clicking that, you'll see that on the name of this file, it says template copy, and it's supposed to be with your username. And so this is your file now, and everything you added in this file will just save itself and then become yours. So by every time you make a change, you want to make sure that you click File down arrow again, and then you click Saves. So it saves it. Yeah. And you can also do that by using shortcuts. On Mac, it would be Command plus S in the code editing section, or it would be Control plus S for Windows users, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, we also have a someone to help us out in the group today. So if you have any questions regarding the P5 editor, or you just have any questions following our tutorial, you can just type in the chat and someone would help you out.
All right, so just back to the presentation, you want to ensure that for the pages, everything's in double quotes. So for example, this is the layout of the zine. So for page 1, the pages are connected. And so you'll state 1 dot background and then double quotes and then the color that you would like to add.
Right. And then, for example, for page 2, if you want a color to be blue, you'd say 2 dot background and parentheses to wrap around what's inside the function, and then double quote for blue. So that's blue. And you'll see that you can use a lot of colors in this thing, but it'll get easier if you can use the RGB value picker. Oh,
Yeah.
it should be. No,
No,
no.
sorry.
Go up.
Okay, there
Yeah,
we go. Okay, this is the RGB value chart. Yeah, so you can go ahead and color pick what you would like your background page to be.
Right. So I think we can go ahead and into the editor and change things a little bit. Maybe.
So yeah, for example, in this editor, if I want blue, I can type blue, but then see the color picker comes up. And then this is for page 2. So this is the cover page, this is page 1, and then this is page 2. So the color picker comes up, and then as I select colors, it'll automatically update. So yeah, just go ahead and take a few minutes and get yourself familiarized with that function. Or like a minute.
If you don't like the color picker and you want specific color names, we also provide a link here. That's from W3 school. And they have all these like colored names that you can use. They're basically defined in CSS. There are names like aqua, which would be a very cute blue. Yeah, I also put the link in the chat.
So these are all color names that are supported by all browsers.
Yeah, there are probably more, but these are the good ones. Just kidding. These are the ones that are on the website.
They're the pretty ones.
They're the pretty ones. I mean, we're designers, so.
All right. Has everyone had some time to just play around with that? Give a thumbs up.
Nice.
Okay, amazing. All right.
Yeah. And you'll notice that once you use the color picker, go up one slide. Yep. You'll notice that once you use the color picker, the names that you specify would turn into RGB values automatically. So in P5 or in the web or in digital design, we basically use RGB values to define colors. So then we have like the first one stands for red, so the second one stands for how green it should be, and the last one stands for blue. And it will basically mix all the colors together to create new colors. So like for page 1 background, it was originally red, and now it's 25500, which means it's going to be a pure red in RGB. Yeah. And then since p5.zine, which this editor, we're just creating our zine in the p5 environment, it supports all the p5 functions. And yeah, and you can see that in the editor, it's somehow different from what we're showing in this slide right now, where we have different functions that has different pages set up, which will make it easier to read. This one, yeah. So you can see in one, so then in one, you should type it into function 1 page, but you'll notice that if you type that one.background in the function 2 page, it would also work. The structure is to make it easier to read and find your own function instead of providing like a very functional way. Yeah, it's make it more legible and more readable.
All right, so this is the p5.js reference library, and we've linked it in the presentation, but these are all just functions that you would be able to incorporate into your zine. So there's a lot here. Like you don't have to feel the need to go through everything, but just for example, if you wanted to make a square, you can copy and paste this, and it would say draw a square at location 30, which on the grid of p5.js would be where its x and y values are. So that's the reference library, just to have. And then in terms of,
right.
Yeah, text set, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just gonna say, so then you see there are so many functions in P5, and you can just, since it's in P5.js environment, you can use any of them in your zine. but then we know it's a little overwhelming for a lot of people, especially beginners in P5. So we created these customized functions for you. They're not in the original P5 library, but would be great if you wanted to use them for your zine making. So for instance, this slide shows the text functions that we created, which is called text set. And the text sets would basically let you define all the these characteristics that you would use in doing typography. For instance, what's the name of the font that you want to use, whether the sizes of your text, what are the alignment, and what's the line height of your text. And so if you want to do that, make sure that when you type out text set, you're writing in camel case, which we have an image on the right. So camel case is basically a way of writing functions. And it's also how most functions are defined in P5, where if it's two words combined together, the first letter of the second word would be capital. So then text set, and you have a capital S here. You get some error message if you don't follow the camel case.
Yeah. All right, and here are some fonts that we've pre-installed into the p5.js. So these are 5 fonts that you can go ahead and select from.
Yeah, they're from Google Font, and you don't have to use them if you don't want to. You can also import your own fonts, but for the sake of time today, we don't have time to go through how to import your own fonts.
Yeah, so this is just an example of the camel case that Munus was just talking about. Capital G gay does not equal lowercase gay, and load image, parentheses, does not equal load capital I image. So just be cognizant of your caps lock and your casing. And a little bit about variable and images. You will have to preload your images if you do want to insert images in your zine. And for the sake of time today, we won't be able to get into that, but there's a lot of really useful p5.js tutorials online if you just Google like preloading images into p5. And it's, yeah, this is to state the importance that you have to prepare all your ingredients before uploading them into p5.js. So you need to preload them before, like you can't just drag and drop an image into the p5 editor. Yeah, and so now we'll get into the live coding. These are the instructions for creating your zine based off of your digital identity or just your identity in general. If you're lost about what to write about or what to create your zine about, these are just some prompts that we came up with.
Do you think we actually have time to show them how to upload their images?
Are we
I think
done?
we do.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna show it real quick. So
do you want to share your screen?
yes.
Okay.
All right, let's see my screen instead. So this is an empty templates here, and this is me. And for instance, we don't have that here. You see in the function, we have a preload functions. And basically, if you want to put images into your zine, then you would have to upload an image, and then you can upload it by, see, if you don't sign in, if you don't log in, you wouldn't be able to upload an image. So I'm just gonna log in real quick right now. Voila. And let me click that empty template again. Yeah. So if you want to upload your images, you'll kick this down arrow, and then you click upload file. Yeah. And then in here, you can drag your image inside, or you can click it and then you can pick an image if you want to. I'm gonna use that cat image because I like it a lot. But if you click that here, anyway, so I'm gonna upload something else. And then I'm just gonna get these zoomed windows out. Yeah. And you'll see that this is the image that I upload here, and it's called a1.jpg. And then we also have cat.png here, which I have already put inside the template. And if you want to use that, you would say in the cover page, let's say image. Oh, sorry, we got to preload that. So we don't have that right now. So the way of loading it into our zine would be giving it a name. I'm just going to call it cat right now. So cat equals load image. Make sure that it's a capital I because of the camel case, and then parentheses, and then double quotation mark, cat.png. Okay. And then in cover page, I'll say image, cat, and I'll say 00. Oh no, it's not here. Why is it not here? Or let me use. Oh, okay. It's not here because remember we used that namespacing, so I didn't specify where it should go. So you should type cover.image. And it should be there, but maybe my cat image is too big or something. It's happening. So I'm just gonna say, instead of using image, I'm just gonna, or I'll give it a, what is it called? I'm gonna give it an offset. Oh no. Do people see their images? What happened to my image? Oh, I'll type. So, oh, you see yours. Okay. There's something wrong with my cat image. So that's why I said why we created these customized functions for you. So then, for instance, instead of using image, I'm gonna use full page. I'm gonna use full page. So this is a customized library that we use. You can only use that in this zine, not in other P5 sketches. So you say full page with a capital P, and then I'll put cat there. Yeah, it's here, and we only see it still. Yeah, the image is too big. Yeah. And then I also have another image like A1, and I'll also say load capital I image and A1.jpg. And I'll put A1 here to replace my cat. And so you see it's here, and then it's gonna go to full page automatically because it's defined in the function itself. Yeah. And all right. We also have other customized functions that we define for everyone. Ellie, do you think we have time to go through them? Or pick your favorite one?
I like the random.
Oh, you like the random. Okay, we should test out the random with the background. So then we have some backgrounds for everyone since we have that sort of full bleed page thing right now where you can see in here, we have the left page and the right page. But if you only use functions like background and you set red, I just like red for no reason. It's gonna be red for both the pages. And that's quite annoying because I only want it to be on the left page. So instead of saying background, I'll say left with a capital B, background. And that's gonna make the left one red. And if I want the right one to be blue, I'll say one dot right background. Oh, background. You should spell it right. Double quotation mark, blue. Yay. And then Iley was talking about the random color. So something, oh no shit. Something that you can do in coding, which you probably cannot do in InDesign, is these really fun ones like selfie background, and random RGB values. So then, for instance, instead of putting my left background as red, I'm gonna put it as my selfie. So you just type with the word selfie and, oh, for the background doesn't work, sorry. For the background, instead of typing selfie, you would have to define it as selfie background with parentheses. So then it'll be your selfie on the left. Hey. Yeah, and you can, and then, oh, I'm just gonna make one slight change. So if you want the right background to be random color, you would say random RGB. And since the random RGB is not a parameter, it's not something we've defined here, it's actually a function. So inside a function, so we're gonna type parentheses as well, but we're not gonna put anything inside the parentheses. Or maybe I took random RGB out. Oh no, that's actually my favorite function.
Me too.
Oh, I did. Okay. I'm gonna put it back. Is it missing a semicolon? I don't think so. I think I actually took render RGB out of the library because someone said that it's like flickering and it's gonna cause them, like, they're gonna feel sick or something. Oh no. But I do that, have it in the example file. Oh, sorry, I name it as random color instead of random RGB. Yeah. Okay, so if you get error message, that makes sense because I name it actually as random color instead of random RGB. Yay! So it's random color now. And the fun thing that you can do, which you can do in Adobe InDesign, is you can actually download this. And every time you download it, it will be a different color because we set it as random color. So if you click download PDF, and then save it, we're gonna open it. It'll be a random color every time you download it. So then it can be a customized and very unique zine for you and your friends and everyone around you. Yeah. I think we still have 5 minutes to go through some other functions. So we've gone through the background functions. We can also go through the page functions. So page functions are very similar to background functions. They just build on top of the background. So then you'd say, instead of saying this, you say one dot left page, and I'll put what I want inside, like, hello, this is the left page. And I'll say, hello, this is the left page on here. And remember that text set thing that we have? We can also text set that here. So one.text set, and I forgot, we're gonna go back. Yeah. Oh, is someone having a question? I want to copy this here. Yeah, oh, you can talk. Are you asking a question? You can talk. Oh, sorry. I don't quite catch that. Yeah. Anyway, and yeah, that's it. If you want to change the color of the text, you would say one dot fill, because fill would define all the fill color for all the elements inside P5. And then you'd say double parentheses white. Hey, so this is there's something wrong with the line height. Yeah, it should be really big for this one. I don't know why. 500 or 50. Yeah. So you can see how this is really powerful, because if you want to change this thing on the left to the right, and you would type right. Oh, I see your gradient question. That's a great question, actually. So yeah, you would change it from left to right, and it would automatically, the text would change from left to right by just typing one thing here. See? Yeah. It would be possible, but you would have to find that in the P5 function, which you would say P5 gradient. And they have a gradient example here, which you can pull out by reading through. You can just copy that set gradient function here, and then you would put gradient this inside. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky because gradients are basically, they would have to like go through all the colors that are in between. So that's a little tricky. Yeah, maybe we should incorporate that in our next iteration of the function. Yeah. And the last one, instead of the page function, oh, for the page function, you can also put images inside. The last one, we're gonna get to the really fun one, which is called the layout function. So instead of saying right page here, I'm gonna copy what's here, the random layout. So I'm just gonna put this here. So for the random layout, for instance, for one, you see I can put an image here, like for instance, my cat, and I'll use the square brackets to wrap around what's inside my layout. And it would automatically lay out that page for me in a random way. See, this is my random layout. So by typing this random layout and square brackets to wrap what's inside, and you can always add more. You can say comma and hi. So it would have cat, hello, hi, that's like floating around in my page. And these are other parameters that you can tweak. We don't have time to go through that, but you can play around with it to see how it changes your layout. Yay, yeah, you can use the cat image here. You can also use that A1 image here. It would automatically lay that out for you. And instead of saying random, I can also say grid. So you'll be in grid layout. Yeah. And we also have, I believe we also have glitch layout. So instead of saying grid, I'm gonna say glitch. It'll be in glitch layout instead of random layout, which you will see that glitch would sort of repeat that element instead, have that little track. Yeah, that's basically, I think that basically is all the functions. And you can also play around with it. You can see in the left page function, you can also put images inside. You can also put images inside. Layout, you can put whatever inside. You can also put your selfie inside. So I can type selfie here. So what I will also have, oh, I misspelled selfie. Yeah, you'll see my selfies here. Not very apparent, but it's there. Yay. Are we over time?
Yeah, we're at time, but
We're at time.
yeah. Yeah, those are our P5 functions. Thank you guys so much for joining us for GenZ. Do you want to go over export very quickly?
Right. Yeah. Don't forget to share it, and you can share it with your loved ones by just clicking save and then copy this link and put it here. Oh, shit. I'm actually adding my empty template, so it's not empty anymore. But
Okay.
yeah, you can anyway, you paste this link and you can share it to anyone. And you can also download JPEG, which would just individually export these pages as a standalone file JPEG. You can see you only have page 3 here. Oh, which we have nothing in page 3. Yeah. And then you can also download PDF and print it out. I believe we're using the American letter size here, but you can print it as whatever you want. And then it's following that page layout. So then after print it out, you can cut it here. We have a GIF here. Yeah, you can follow an instruction and you can make your own zine.
Yep.
And yeah,
Yeah.
send
And
us your zine files. Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah, we'd love to see what you guys come up with, what your loved ones come up with. Yeah, thank you so much.
thank you so much. Congrats. You just coded a zine. Yay. Well, love to see everyone's work.
Yes. Yeah. And like, don't be shy, reach out if you ever have any questions. And yeah, we want to see your work.